I have a controversial take on the law of attraction. Now, what is that, you might ask? Well, it's that I don't think things manifest as quickly as people like. I did a video where I spoke about how things could manifest instantly. Things took a day, and some stuff took 10 years because we don't attract at the level of what we want. We attract at the level of who we are. And sometimes it takes time for us to become that person so that we align ourselves with what our heart desires. Now, the reason I have a belief in destiny and divine timing is because this is one of the other books that completely changed my life. This is Transforming Fate into Destiny by Robert Ohotto, and it came out in 2008. I found it in 2011, and he used to have a podcast. He still has things on YouTube, and I want to read to you what Robert wrote about the differences between fate and destiny. This you can find on all the regular bookstores. It's a Hay House book. Sometimes when they have sales. I mean, I bought an extra. This is how much I love this book. When they had the Kindle edition on for $1.99, I grabbed it. And then I'm going to read to you what some of Robert wrote and how what Jose Silva incorporated at the end of his famous long relax or centering meditation ties perfectly into this, which is the law of attraction. Everything's connected. Everything we touch is another piece to the grand mosaic of life. It's just fascinating to me. So the first thing that Robert talked about, this is in the chapter, The Soul's Two Agreements, Your Cosmic Contract. Okay, this is one of my, so the three books that changed my life were The Silva Method, obviously The Name It and Claim It Game by Helene Hadsel, which is right behind me, and this book. And not enough people know about this book. So the two agreements are mortal fate and self-fate. So mortal fate, this is the fate that you often can't change. It is written into your soul before you came here, and you must live it out as part of your destiny. It often manifests as conditions and events that are out of your control. Of course, he goes deeper, but I'm not going to be reading all of that. I'm pulling out points to back up what I'm saying. Self-fate. This is the fate you unconsciously create in drawing ego-fueled, self-made trials for yourself. Actually, that's where I stopped my quote, but I will read you the next part. These challenges are often the byproduct of going against your inner design when you try to be or become something you're not meant to be, or when you don't own or integrate parts of your nature that are seeking acknowledgement and or incarnate expression. How many of us can't feel we can be ourselves? And this, I didn't read this until I was in my protracted long divorce. But when I started looking for a new partner, I said, I want someone that can handle this crazy because I'm a messy human with all kinds of glorious parts, shadow parts, the whole thing. And I want someone that can handle all of this. So that's what Robert wrote about fate. Now that's important because mortal fate is something like this, like I was born female in January 9, 1967. Guess what? Can't change my birth date. It's mortal fate. I can't just decide I want to be born on a different day. Now, my current hair color is a bit blondish because it's got a lot of silver, or my hairdresser calls them Nordic highlights. I was born a brunette. So you can change your hair color on a whim. I can grow it long. I can cut it short. Some people lose their hair I have brown eyes. That's not going to change. I need glasses. I could change that. I could get LASIK. But, generally speaking, this is it. I can't decide I'm going to be 6'4". I'm 5'2". Right? I can't. Some stuff is fated. I have parents. I have siblings. I can't change that. That's mortal fate. Right? I was born in a certain city. Can't change where I was born. Can't change when I was born. I can't change. So many things you cannot change. They're your mortal fate. And then the self fate is when, for example, you have a desire to be a painter and you think, well, I can't do that. What'll other people think? But your soul craves the art. That's why a lot of people, the family says you have to be a lawyer or a doctor, and they go into these fields and they just don't belong there because that's not where their soul's going. So we also have an agreement with destiny. So on the next page, it says destiny is learning to work with your challenges so that you can be who and what you truly are. Because there's simply nothing else you can be. And then yoking this being into service to the collective world or others around you. Okay? You are destined to be your complete full self, to be of service to the world. We need all the pieces. The entire tapestry needs all the threads. The mosaic needs all the pieces. And you think, but my piece is so weird. Yes, it's weird because we need it weird. We need all the pieces. Okay, it's important that we have all the pieces. Now, based on that, I highlighted because I'm just awaiting my Silva instructor certification. This is the last part of the meditation. And I'm going to read it to you because it's important and it ties in. So when you're meditating in the Silva method, if you take the course, and one of the very first meditations, this is actually the instructor manual. This is what I teach on, but this is the first manual. This is the Silva Life System. This is the first 2 days. It's a 4-day program. This is from the first 2 days. This is the first big meditation you do. Out of a 40-hour program, 10 hours of it, you're meditating. It's amazing. It really helps you hone in on what you've been learning. So the last part of the meditation is every time you function at these levels of the mind, because you're in alpha, okay, when you're doing this meditation, you'll receive beneficial effects physically and mentally. So it's helping you. You may use these levels of the mind to help yourself, to help your loved ones, and to help any human being who needs help physically or mentally. You always use these levels of the mind in a constructive, creative manner for all that is beneficial and positive. This is so. You will continue to take part in constructive and creative activities to make this a better world to live in so that when you move on, you would have left behind a better world for those who follow. You will consider the whole of humanity, depending on their ages, as fathers or mothers, brothers or sisters, sons or daughters. You are a superior human being. You have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with others. Now, Jose was teaching this from 1965. Do you think he left the world a better place for those who followed? 100%. 100%. And this is, see, all the teachers dovetail into one another. They all dovetail into one another. And I'm going to show you how this is planned out, because I'm going to show you some vision boards and how you can take what you're learning here and put it into practical terms. So this is the Robert's definition of the law of attraction. Okay, he said the law of attraction is where we become responsible for aligning our own thoughts and intentions with positive energy and outcomes, where we create our own grace. And then it goes on. The law of attraction is a universal principle that posits like energy attracts like energy in this universe. And as we're all essentially energetic beings, your personal vibratory frequency, which is a byproduct of what you do, focus on, believe, and think about, will attract you people, situations, events, and opportunities that are a match. And then he talks about From the Power of Deliberate Intent by Esther and Jerry Hicks. This is quoted from their book. He quoted their book in his book. It says, in the same way that the law of gravity consistently responds to all of the physical matter in your planet, the law of attraction consistently responds to all vibrations. Every projection of thought, whether you are focused into the past, present, or future, is a vibration and has attraction power. Each thought offers a signal similar to a radio signal that the law of attraction recognizes and matches. This powerful, consistent law of attraction that is like unto itself is drawn, like attracts like, offers consistent results in response to the vibrations you offer. So the law of attraction is about consciously aligning ourselves vibrationally to thoughts and intentions that carry frequency that hold the most affirming creative potential in any circumstance. So if you find yourself in a circumstance that you aren't happy with, you have to say, what is, you say to yourself, okay, I am not happy in this circumstance. What intention and frequency can I carry right now to be of the most affirming creative potential right now? Right? Robert always says, you don't have to like what's happening. You just have to accept it. To use the law of attraction, we must learn to manage our thoughts, engage the imagination, and master our perception of reality. That is where the Silva method comes in, where the techniques and program meditations within the program help you. It's like going to the gym. Yeah, we can all work out at home, but sometimes it's better to go to the gym where they have the proper equipment, and maybe you want to hire a trainer to help you because you're like, I'm really struggling with this piece of equipment. I don't know if I'm doing this right, or am I holding it right, or is the lunge, are my hips aligned when I'm doing this lunge? They help you, they count, they encourage you. Sometimes it's good to have a coach. Okay, so essentially, we learn that what we focus on is empowered and animated, attracting to us a quality of energy and informing how we experience events. So one of the things Wayne Dyer always said was, if you want to change the experience, change your perception, and the experience will change. And sometimes you think, what? You really sit and think about it, he's right. So the law of attraction can only be effective both in positive and negative ways with certain boundaries of your agreements with fate and destiny. So I can't say I'm going to law of attraction myself to being a professional NBA basketball player. That's not going to happen. I'm 5'2", uncoordinated, and 58. It's not going to work. As much as I put it on a vision board, it isn't going to happen. Even if I start training every day and doing all the things, I'm not going to be in the Olympics. I'm not going to be on a basketball team. That's not going to happen. I don't think I have the athlete archetype to begin with. It is not one of my fortes, right? But on the other hand, one of those NBA players probably doesn't want to sit for hours on end writing books like I love doing and teaching, right? Because that's not what they agreed to. That's why we need all the pieces of the mosaic, because we each bring a different thing. So therefore, it has limits of operation within your life's purpose, and it can only transform fate into destiny when it's connected to the intentions of your soul and the divine, right? Now, look what happened to me. I remember being in college, and I got a C on a paper, I remember looking at this paper. I thought, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be a writer. The way the universe has a sense of humor, can I tell you? Right? Thank goodness for spell checking, because grammar and spelling, for some reason, isn't my strong suit. But that's why we have proofreaders. That's why we have spell checkers. And I'm okay. Right? They always say in marketing, sell your strengths and buy your weaknesses. Again, ties into fate and destiny. Right? Take what you do and bring that to the world. And you will meet up with all the other people that you dovetail into and connect with. So I never thought I'd be a writer. Then what happened was in 2004, when my daughter was 2, I thought it was time to go back to work because I got caught. I used to work in corporate marketing and it was all IT businesses. And in 2001, there was a massive .com bubble burst and our company closed. And like one day they let half the company go. They closed the entire marketing department. And then it wasn't long after the rest of the people, they closed the business. And so I found myself unemployed and trying to jump fields. And I didn't find any employment. And then I found myself being a mom. And so when she was 2, I thought, okay, it's time for me to go back to work. She's big enough now. And I thought, what do I want to do? Like, do I want to go back to the corporate world? I was looking at the cost of daycare. Is there anything I can do? Because working from home wasn't a thing, right? Back in 2002. I remember even taking my laptop home from work one day because I was feeling off. I wasn't sick, but I was sick enough that if I came in, I would have infected the entire office. I didn't want to do that. But I wasn't so sick that I couldn't work, so I worked from home. And my boss was so mad at me for working at home. And I was like, why? I'm getting so much done today because I'm sitting here quiet. There's nobody bugging me. Anyway, it was good to give me a good taste of working from home. So when I started looking to see what I wanted to do, coincidentally, and remember, when you take the Silva method, oops, I've got to have my tea. If you know, I'm also the contest queen, and I won a Keurig this year, and it came with a cup. So I just put my green tea in it. But it's cool because it's one of those hot, cold Keurigs, so I can do iced coffee. It's so fun. So then, coincidentally, we won 3 trips. We won a trip to LA. And while we were in LA, we got notified that my niece won a trip I entered her into. And we got home and my husband won a trip. And it was like, what is happening? Now, here's what's interesting. While we were on that trip, I really think was fated. And I'll tell you why. So we won a trip to LA to meet Bob Bloomer. Now, he's known as the Surreal Gourmet. I don't know if he still has a show on the Food Network, but we get down there and he actually had phoned me in advance to kind of plan out the menu. Such a nice gentleman. And we decided we're going to do small, like appetizer kind of things. We're just going to cook all night. It was so fun. So while we're doing this, I'm asking him about his career, his home, his books, and he had all the all-clad cookware. And I said, oh, it's got to be the best stuff. He says, oh, they give it to all the chefs. So that's why you see all the chefs using it on TV. I was like, oh, okay. Because I had won a set of cookware as part of the prize that I have. So I have my own set. Anyway, not as big as his, of course, because he got the entire collection. But while we were talking, like, he was fascinated that I was the contest queen, and because I wasn't doing any of the, I had written my own books, but I wasn't like a publisher. I wasn't doing the sweepstakes marketing. I wasn't doing any of that at that point. So he was fascinated that I was the contest queen, and I had did some Googling on him, and I knew he liked wine. So we brought him some ice wine because we were actually at his house with the people from the network. And it was very generous of him to open his home. And so we had some different wines with the appetizers, and we were talking, and he liked this idea of the competitions. And later in the evening, we were talking about his kitchen, because he had renovated this old home by himself. And so part of the kitchen, he had this beautiful butcher block that was pretty much the size of the kitchen. It was the biggest butcher block I've ever seen. It was beautiful. And he said, "This is the center of my universe." And I thought to myself, that is a really interesting thing to tell strangers. And then he said it again, and I thought, that is a message for me. So when you get those intuitive hits, pay attention. Thankfully, I was smart enough at that point to go, that's a message for me. So then we find out my niece won the trip. Then we get home and we won another trip. And so I was just kind of sitting with all of this. And then we went to a birthday party. And now this is interesting. Someone said what they thought was an offhanded comment to me that changed the direction of my life, and they had no idea. So you never know what minor action you may take that can change someone's destiny, and then in turn change other people's lives. Because look how many people's lives I've touched being the contest queen and teaching others how to win, being a sweepstakes marketer and helping all those companies succeed in their giveaways, and now being a publisher and republishing works that are helping others, I say, win in life. Because, I like the whole winning theme. So I kind of try to put it in everything because it's fun. Let's face it, we need more fun in this world. We need more fun. So we're at this party, and this gentleman's name is Ralph. And he said to me, "Wow, that's amazing." Like, he was hearing our story of all our adventures. And he said, "Wow, that's amazing. You should write a book." And I thought, "Oh, that's interesting." So I started doing some research. And one of the people I interviewed while I was doing research said, "Why would you give away all your secrets?" It's a good point. If I'm doing all this winning and I'm so good at winning prizes, why would I tell everybody else how to do it? I was going to a girlfriend's house to discuss this. Oh, sorry. No, the first time I went to her house before the party, we were having coffee, and I was telling her about what Bob Bloomer had said about this being the center of his universe. And she looked at me and she goes, "What's the center of your universe?" And the first thing that popped into my head was contesting. And I thought, what the heck am I supposed to do with that? How the heck am I supposed to do something with contesting? Again, fate and destiny, right? This is fated, this path, but how do I fold it? Robert says, fate is the hand you're dealt. Destiny is how you play it. It's like a poker game. Hello, game. What book is called The Name It and Claim It Game? Always connects together. It's amazing to me how it all connects together. So we're at this party, and Ralph says that to me. I do some research, and I go back to her house, and I didn't even get to her house before I had my answer, because for some reason I took a different route than I normally do. And I passed a church, and on the service announcement board, it said, "You can't lose helping others win." And I thought, that's a message for me. And I just chuckled, because everyone says, "God, please give me a sign." I had a literal sign from God. And we didn't have like cell phones like we do now. I wish I'd grabbed my camera and gone back that week, because they changed the boards every week, and taken a picture of it. But I have it burned into my memory. And later, when my book was published, I did take it to the church and talk to the pastor about how the message changed my life. And he said, "You have no idea how many people come in here. There's one couple that was doing the sayings every week, whatever they were divinely inspired to put up. And he said, you have no idea how many people come in and say whatever this couple had put up that week changed their life. How crazy is that? This summer, I happened to see Ralph at a barbecue, and I said to him, it occurred to me that he didn't know that this whole crazy thing I was doing was because of something he said, and it just set me off on this path. And I said that to him, and he was flabbergasted that it was his off-the-cuff comment that sent me down this trail. So you never know how you can impact other people. Because now I have published 14 books. There's 11 paperbacks and ebooks, and 3 of those are translations. And then I have another 3 audibles, and I have another audible coming out, and I'm working on 2 new books, 1 new book and 1 updated and republished book this year. Plus I'm putting my feelers out for some more translations just because I'm not busy enough. So, it won't surprise me if I hit, 100 books in my lifetime. It would not surprise me if I get to that many books at the rate that I'm going. It just would not surprise me. And that's just amazing when you think about it. Like, really, it's amazing. So that's why I wanted to talk about fate and destiny. So let's continue what it said. In other words, the law of attraction is a creative power of the soul and simply can't be used to acquire what the ego wants if the soul isn't on board. For better or worse, positively, however, the law can only magnetize the greatest potential that your life was designed to hold according to your purpose. It brings to you no more than what can be contained within the fated limits put into place to support your destiny. This is why when people win the lottery, 73% of winners lose it within the first 5 years, because it's not an accident that money is called currency, because it's like being hit with a bolt of lightning, that current. And if your system isn't prepared to handle it, it will fry you out. And that's why the money goes. Right? There is a percentage that does keep it because they were prepared. And also it depends on the amount, right? I mean, where I am, if I won $1 million, I'd buy a house and that'd be the end of the money. The money would be gone. Physically, it would be a liquid turned into a solid, because the houses in my neighborhood, and I know I'm near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I was taking one of the Silva methods. I was taking Silva manifesting in Toronto with my friend Teresa. We've now taken 3 Silva courses together. And I want to actually take the training again with the fella that trained with Jose himself. Even though I already have the certification, I still want to take it with Ken again. He thinks I'm crazy for wanting to take it again, but I just think it would be amazing he's 73. He could leave to be 103, but why wait? Take it now just in case. Anyway, Teresa is a real estate agent in Michigan, and we were discussing real estate prices, and there was small houses across the street from the hall that's being rented to take the training in. And so she was saying something, and I said, okay, that house across the street, how much would that sell for your neighborhood? And she goes, oh, probably 300,000. And I go, 1.5 million here. And she's like, what? Yeah, there's a big price disparity. So when I say $1 million house, this is not a mansion. It is a regular. We live in a raised bungalow that's 1,200 square feet and would be $1 million. So welcome to our wonky real estate prices. There's some condos near my mom that go for that much, and they're not big. They're like 1,000 square feet. So I know, crazy, right? Okay. So did I read the last part of this? No. Yeah, I did. So that was the law of attraction. So I wanted to show you, I wanted to show you how your desires tie into the law of attraction and how things can manifest. And I have some examples of how things took a minute, like seconds, took a day, and then took a decade. Oh, I should have added a picture of George in there. I didn't. Maybe I'll see if I can add one after. Okay, so I'm going to add this to the stage. I think this looks better. So this was a vision board. Now I went looking for all my old vision boards because I take pictures of all of them and I share them on social media. But for some reason, I can only find a few of them. This was one I did in 2011. And what I did was I just taped pictures to my filing cabinet. I didn't actually even use Bristol board. And I do it in a feng shui format. So in this, in the upper right corner is the wealth area. The bottom, if you know the Bagua, anyway, this corner up here, I know I'm tiny when I'm pointing, but that's the relationship area. And you can see that I have 2 Adirondack chairs, or we call them Muskoka chairs, and a couple sitting on a dock. And I have a canoe there. And then I have wind. Of course I have wind. And travel. I have a lot of travel there. I haven't been back to Paris yet. Let me see what else. But I have traveled some. I've been to beaches. I've been doing yoga. I did get a new tablet. I have gotten a couple of new cars. Not one that looks like that, though. I haven't won the lottery, but the money is sufficient to do my work. I've been to New York. So what happened is now I was married when I created this and I was in a divorce, but I still felt like there was a relationship there for me somewhere. I don't know. Right. And then I'm going to show you all these slides. And then, so this was 2018. And this one I used more words. I thought this was an interesting one that I did. This was in the format that Colette Baron Reid used to teach, where you put a black border to contain it. She's actually changed her format now. And what you do is you do a, like a kind of an energetic grid, and then you put all your pictures on top of it. And you'll notice that sometimes I have similar pictures, like right up in the middle, I have all the tags from traveling. Sometimes when I find magazine ads and I see it a couple of times, I do it. Now at the bottom in the career sector, you'll see I have a picture of Robert Ohado himself when he took a picture of his office, because he does these amazing live streams. And I wanted to have a production set up like him. So it's not quite like his, but I did get the same camera. I don't have the same microphone. I have a better computer. He's a Mac guy. I'm not. But I did get some big lights and I had to be careful how I set up because I have glasses. And so I didn't want, a lot of the YouTube setups have one right here to, illuminate your face. But if I do that, I'd look like an owl. We don't want that. So I put things on there. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to do the extraordinary. I wanted to have amazing adventures. I wanted to feel like I was at home. Different things. So some things have manifested, some things haven't. Then the next year I did one where I put all these sayings on it. Now I've kept all these. They're all actually behind my filing cabinet. With butterfly clips holding them all together. Now, this one I had right in the middle. I don't know if you can see it under the crazy orange. It says Audible, because I was wanting to create Audible books. My last recording session is tomorrow, and then it'll be edited, and then it takes anywhere from 10 days to 3 weeks for Audible to check all the audio files and then approve the book for sale. So at some point in February, dependent on Audible, or ACX actually is the company that does it. I'll have my 4th Audible book out. So that has definitely manifested. And you'll see I have a couple holding hands. And now what's crazy about this one is when I did this one, oh, you'll see the front load washer and dryer. I had those on my vision board for, I don't know, like 5 years. And George always chuckled at me because this is, our house is small and I don't have a lot of wall space. So this is actually on my office door. So if the door is closed, like every time I come in and out of the office, I see it. And of course, everybody sees it as they pass in the hallway. So George knew I wanted a front load washer dryer. Well, this year our washer died. One day I was doing the wash and it was going, I was like, George, I think you better come down here. We have a problem. And he heard the grinding and he's like, oh, he looks at me and he goes, you want a front load, don't you? Yes. My intention was to win one. I've been entering every laundry pair giveaway you can imagine. And anyway, we got a good deal at Costco. We bought a new washer. Don't worry about how it manifests. I mean, I didn't want to like do it that way, but that's how it happened. And actually this one, I put a couple like a chairs on the beach in the bottom right-hand corner. I don't know if you can see that. And we went on vacation shortly thereafter. I was like, wow, that manifested fast. Now, here's what's interesting. You'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, I have the Silva Ultramind system and the Jose system. I did this in 2018. And no, this is my 2019 one. Sorry, the 2018 one was the one with all the words. And I was starting to work with Helene's stuff. So you can see I've got the her book. I want to do a workbook. And then now Colette says, be careful about putting two similar things on the vision board because they both might show up. So she tells a story of how they were looking to move to the East Coast from Arizona. I think it was Maine. And they went house hunting and they were going to rent a couple of house. And they couldn't decide if they wanted like a colonial or a more modern. So they put both on their vision board so that it would manifest. And they went out and found the perfect house and they rented it and they sublet what they were currently renting and they moved and their sublet fell through. So then they were renting 2 houses and they had 2 houses on their vision board. So she says, be very careful about duplicating things on the vision board. So I thought, okay, knowing that I'm going to take a chance because I would like to learn Jose Silva's system, but there's also the Ultramind system that Vishen Lakhiani did for Mind Valley. And again, there's a documentary that he did with Helene Hadsel, who was Jose Silva's assistant. There's so many touch points. Anyway, knowing that, I put that on my vision board. And 3 weeks after I had it on, I get a message from somebody and she said on Instagram, and she says, hey, I had a dream last night about you. I'm cleaning out my house and I have an old tape set of the Silva method. Like it's from the 80s. Would you like it? I had a feeling that you want it. I was like, what? Yes, please. And then a couple of weeks later, she says, I also have the Ultramind system. Did you want that copy too? So she sent me that copy. Like, what is happening? So I got both of them. And they're different. I personally learn the best. So I've read the book. I've listened to the tapes and and watched the videos. And I've also taken it in person. For me personally, I learn better in person. I know people that have come on these live streams and said, hey, I read the Silva mind control method and I mastered it. It's working great. I'm like, fantastic. That's not how I learn. You can obviously learn by just reading. Some people need to watch the video. Some people need the physicality. I like it because I'm away from the computer and I'm in a setting. I'm away from everything, like that. So you have to, so, and then I had little affirmations all the way around. And the middle one's about spirit. Then I thought I was going to take it completely out of left field this year. And I did an as above, so below. So if you look really carefully, I put a line across the middle. Now I also did the border a little different because I did the spray paint technique. I thought it was kind of fun. So I knew I was going to do a vision board in the new year. So in the fall, well, we still had the grass in the back. I took some Bristol board and I spray painted the board and let it dry. And then it was all ready for my vision board. So I decided to do something a little different because, it said you have to align your inner with your outer. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do an inside outside vision board this year. It's going to be a little different. So I cut it in half. So as above, so below. And I took Robert Ohato's, that's his company's, I don't think it's in this book. That's his corporate logo, because it's horizontal and vertical. Like he teaches a course called Vertical Intuition. So it's your horizontal plane, like earth plane, and then how you tap into the universal consciousness, right? So I thought, oh, this is perfect. So I put it in the middle. I did as above, so below. And then I did it a little bit in the feng shui. So I have the money stuff in the upper right-hand corner. I have a little thing for Hollywood because I think I would love to see Helene's story made into a movie. She actually wanted it made into a movie, and she always said there is no delay. There is no failure, only delay in results. So her life will eventually be a movie, just might usurp her lifetime. And then you see I have a stack of books there because I'm continuing to write and republish. And then win, because, hello, I love to win. I've been trying to win a trip to Vegas. I did end up going to the annual National Sweepstakes Convention, which was in Vegas. And then we did go away on a vacation. Haven't won a cruise. Haven't gone on another cruise, but still there. But you notice the washer and dryer's there in the far left-hand side. I can take that one off for this year. I don't have my library yet, but it looks like it will come this year. We'll be redoing some of the storage in the house, and it looks like I'm going to have a place to put some of my books. Yes. And then underneath, there's the 5 forms plus the law of attraction for from Bashar. I don't know if you know Bashar, and he talks about, so the 5 forms of abundance, or when we always say, oh, the law of attraction, I want to attract money. What's abundance? He says imagination, trade, money, gifts. I'll say, or prizes, right? Synchronicities. And then I just put the word abundance because I wanted 6. I wanted 6 to be there because it looked weird, 5. And then I said a joyful life, feeling good, lucky. This or something better better manifest for the greatest good of all. And that's, if you notice, I put that on the bottom of the other ones too, right? It's right there on the bottom of that one. I don't know if I put it on the other one. No, I did not. And then this one, I also put thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, what was really interesting, if you notice these little dots all over the place, when I was doing this one, I thought I'd really like to put some crystals on this to like energize it. So in my brain, I'm thinking, I'm going to have to call like someone and buy small stones in bulk. Maybe I'll find some on Amazon. And then I went to the dollar store the next day, and for $4.50, I got 12 bottles of tiny stones of all kinds. I was like, are you kidding me? So sometimes you can instantly manifest, like instantly manifest. So another example is I was in the grocery store. That one was the next day. This one's instant. I'm standing there and I grabbed a bunch of things and I thought, I didn't bring in a shopping bag. I don't know why I don't bring in a shopping bag, because I have 100 in my car. Literally, I have 100 because I have a Trader Joe collection. I collect Trader Joe bags from across the entire United States. And I have all the styles. I have the tiny one for my purse, which wasn't in my purse. And then I have the two of the big cooler bags, and then I have the other cooler bag style, and then I have all the fabric ones, and then I have all their standard ones from every state. Like I collect Trader Joe. And so I get them at every opportunity. It's such a fun hobby anyway, because they're only $1 or a few dollars. And they come in handy. We use them all the time. So I'm standing there in the grocery store. I'm like, I literally have 100 bags in my car. Why didn't I bring one in? I thought, well, it'd be good if I had grabbed one of the little bags from the fruit and veg section, because then at least I could put some stuff in it and take it to the car. And I thought, and I look over and someone had crumpled one up and stuck it. You know how they have the point of purchase where they have like the soda and the chocolate and all that right as you're paying, because they want you to buy more stuff. Someone had put one there. So I thought, I need one of those little bags. Should have picked one up. Look over. There it is. Like microsecond manifestation. And I went, thank you. Thank you. The vision board one was the next day. So I thought, I need to get some stones to energize this. And I was thinking it was going to cost me a lot of money. And the next day it happened. So as long as you're in alignment. Another one was speak your manifestations into existence. I've told this story before, but it still boggles my mind. It was the first Audible book I was doing. It was the Name It and Claim It game. In that book, there's a story about a woman who her friend had gone on a cruise to the Bahamas, and she wanted to go to the Bahamas. She thought this was fantastic, but her husband wasn't interested. It wasn't in the family budget. She didn't contest. She said to Helene, how would this happen? Like, I have no idea how. Helene's like, don't worry about it. Just focus on the cruise and just see yourself on this cruise going to the Bahamas. She was really skeptical. She said, okay. But she just kept envisioning herself on this beautiful cruise. And she was also taking art classes. And in the evening, she was talking to one of her fellow artists. And the woman sold cosmetics. Now, I'm going to guess it was Mary Kay or Avon, one of those. I think it's Mary Kay that always had the prizes. And so they had a prize for the best sales. They were having a contest. And the one who sold the most in your certain area went on a cruise. And she was really excited because she had sold the most in her area and she hadn't been notified yet, but she was positive she was winning the cruise. And the woman said, oh, that's amazing. I want a cruise. I've been envisioning this cruise. You're going to have an amazing time. I wish you all the best because, it's my dream too. Well, 2 days before this cruise, the woman calls her and says, hey, my son has appendicitis. He has to have surgery. I have to stay home. My ticket's already paid for. Do you want it? Because otherwise it'll go to waste. The woman's like, what? Next thing you know, she's sending a postcard to Helene. It says, I named it and claimed it. So 4 weeks from when she saw herself on this cruise to the Bahamas, she was in the Bahamas. So I'm reading this for Audible. That was a Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was assisting Silva Canada run the Silva Method program here. So basically, I'm turning myself into Helene. And Jose didn't have as big a team. There's like 8 of us that are assisting. Actually, I think there's 6 of us. I'm doing it again this weekend. I think there's 6 of us assisting. So we're assisting. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of meditating, right? I gave you an example of the end of the long relax that we read as an instructor. Anyway, Saturday, so this is day 3 of the program. I get a text from my friend. And she says, hey, do you want to go on a cruise? I'm like, I would love to go on a cruise, but I've been spending a lot of money recording books, paying for studio time and an excellent producer worth every penny. I highly recommend him to everybody in this area if you're looking for somebody. However, that doesn't leave me any money in the budget to go on a cruise. And she said it wouldn't cost you anything because her boyfriend had broken his leg earlier that year, ended up using a lot of his vacation time on top of sick leave. And he really couldn't afford to take the time off to go on the cruise. And so she says the ticket's already paid for. You just have to get yourself to Miami. And I went, I can do that. 6 weeks from when I spoke that story out loud, I was on a cruise to the Bahamas. And I'm standing. I remember the day we docked in the Bahamas and we weren't going. It was a shore day. And I'm standing there in the Bahamas, flabbergasted, looking around at this beautiful blue water and this beautiful island. Like, what is happening? How did this happen? Like, hey, I want to go to the Bahamas. Just see yourself on the cruise. Sure. And then next thing I know, I'm on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise. It was so fun. So that took, and I hadn't, and it wasn't the first time I'd read the story, obviously, because I had edited the book and everything. So it was 2 years after, but it was the first time I had spoken it out loud, which I found fascinating. And so from when I spoke it to when I was on a cruise was 6 weeks. But then there's George. You see in 2011, I'm going through this divorce. I want this, really interconnected relationship. Clearly, I didn't have it with my ex. We were not a match in a lot of areas. Love him dearly, but we're just not good together. And I knew there was a better fit for me. And so that's what I put out there. And when the timing was right, but I had to do a lot of shadow work. I didn't date anybody for 4 years. I was a hot mess. Not good to date when you're a hot mess. A lot of people just want to stop that. No, the fastest way is through. Right? The fastest way through is through. So I would lean into the sorrow and the grief because I thought, you know what? It's like, this is going to sound a little gross. It's like pus coming out of a wound. You want the pus to come out so we can heal properly. And so all this like, whoa, let it come out. Let it lean into it. Let it come out. Feel the feelings. Do the shadow work. Let it out. Don't do the toxic positivity. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just going to think good thoughts. No, it's okay to be miserable as heck, to get it out of your system. And so then you're ready for that person. That's what I did. That's the path I chose. I chose to let it out and cry and wail and get all the anger and frustration out of my system and all the things. And then I met George. Now, what was really interesting is when I read his profile. Now, here's interesting. He was on Match.com. I was on Plenty of Fish, those dating apps. He wasn't really meeting anybody on Match. He'd met a couple of people, but nothing that gelled. So he decided to just check out Plenty of Fish. Now, I was on Plenty of Fish. My girlfriends said to me, don't go to all of them because you're going to see the same people on all the platforms. And I'm busy, so I just did one. And me loving all the bits of the metaphysical universe, waited till after Mercury retrograde was done to set up my profile. And that was on a Wednesday. And on a Friday, I found George's profile. And one of the things he said in there was his perfect day, with his perfect, he liked a Sunday morning. His perfect day was like a Sunday morning with his girl, at a cottage, having coffee on the dock, just watching, the birds fly by and the sun come up and just relax. And I thought, that guy, because I've always had the picture of the 2 chairs on the dock. And I thought, that's the guy. And we met and we chatted for a couple of days. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to chat forever. I don't like this. I'm over 50. I don't have time to waste. let's meet for coffee, or, like, let's not waste our time. So we met for coffee, and 2 hours went by like that. So we thought, okay. And then I had my window broke in my car the next night, and he had been texting me, and I said, you're not going to believe this. My window just broke. And he texts back. He says, do you need me to come get you? And my inner guidance said, this man has your back. And I went. And we've been together ever since. And it's been good because there's been some crazy stuff happen. And he has had my back. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today with this business if it wasn't for George. He doesn't understand technology. He doesn't even get what I do half the time. I'm making little videos. I'm doing these live streams. I'm pumping out books. Like, he's a contractor. So he goes into somebody's house and, they want a new bathroom. So he will take it down to the studs and then put it all back up. Actually, he ended up doing it in our house as the bathroom was getting old. And then finally the tub started leaking. And I said, okay, you can't put off the Reno in this bathroom anymore. We need a new bathroom. So he did that here, and it's physical. It's a physical job. You can see the work, but when you sit at a computer, I mean, once in a while, my books, I don't have any out here. A book that I've created, well, there's all the banners for the books I've created. They show up in the house. So it's like all this time. And then the Audible ones don't show up at all. Like, I just saying, okay, I'm going to the studio, or I'll do my audio edits or different things. And there's nothing tangible. I'm speaking into the ether, and then someone's listening to my ether. Like, it's kind of crazy how that works. But he's had my back. And so, but that took from when I had started putting those types of pictures on long before my divorce. And so the universe, so here's my point on that story. I started putting that I wanted this type of interdependent, cooperative, supportive relationship on my vision board. And the universe is like, are you sure you want that? And I'm like, yes. And they go, okay, because the relationship I was in was not a match to that desire. So I had to go through a long divorce. I had to do a lot of shadow work. And then I finally met George. So I started probably putting that picture on my vision board, maybe 06, 07. We started the divorce process, like things were kind of getting janky. And in 2010, we ended up starting this divorce process that took forever. And then I didn't even move out until 2013. Like, it was like a lot of stuff had to get settled and sorted. And so that was 2013. And then I didn't meet him until the end of 2017, after I took a 4-year hiatus of not dating anybody. So basically, let's say 8 to 10 years from when I started to like, hey, I want that, to when I got it. And a lot of people wouldn't be that patient, right? Or they would not. But I always knew, because I had been reading types of books like Transforming Fate into Destiny and The Silva Method and all these types of books. Like, my dad gave me, I don't know what the book was. I wish I remembered. He gave me this type of book when I was 18 and said, if I can teach you at 18 what I learned at 36, you'll be way ahead. So I've been reading these types of books for 40 years. So I knew that going through the process would eventually end up at the goal. I just didn't think it was going to take a decade. Let me tell you. Right? But I had to go through that. So I would be a vibrational match, and I would be the best possible person to be in that relationship. And we've grown together. Like, the person that met George and the person that met Carolyn, right? It's not the people we are today. We've been growing together now. So we have been changing and growing as we go. But that's the beauty of relationship. And one of the things Robert always says is, there's certain things you need to learn when you're alone, and there's certain things you need to learn in the container of a relationship. So I needed to be alone for all that time to learn those lessons by myself. And then now I'm in learning lessons in the container of a relationship. And so you have to ask yourself. So let's wrap this up with talking about this. I highly recommend this book. It completely changed my life. He's got a YouTube channel. I think he's finally going to do a podcast this year. And maybe one of these days we can talk him into writing another book. Because he did a fantastic program called Empathic Soul and Love Rebel. He has another one called You Can Do Magic. He has Vertical Intuition. He's brilliant. I'm a little biased. He's just brilliant. So I highly recommend that. I don't know if you noticed, but the foreword is by Carolyn Myss, the one who wrote Sacred Contracts. She's also a brilliant author. So check that out. And I hope this gives you a different perspective on the law of attraction and why some stuff takes so freaking long. Like, right? I gave examples of something that manifested instantly, something that took the next day, something that took 6 weeks, and something that took a decade. But it can manifest. So as long as you know that and you're ready to put in the work, because the universe rewards action, as Jack Canfield says, you will get your heart's desire. So don't give up. Okay, just remember that if you're ever feeling frustrated, because I know that the law of attraction works. You just have to be a little patient sometimes. Until next time.